Good day, everyone. I am Joy Asogwa and I am a registered nurse. Today, I'll be reading four of my favorite poems that I've read over the years. The first one is an excerpt from the poem collection by Ijeoma Umebinyuo. It is titled Questions for Ada. Sit tight and stay with me. The day your education makes you roll your eyes at your father. The day your exposure makes you call your own mother uncivilized. The day your amazing foreign degrees make you cringe as your driver speaks pidgin English. May you never forget your grandfather was a farmer from Oyo State who never understood English. So this poem keeps me grounded. I can remember during my teenage years, I used to condescend to people that could not speak English. So this poem is so beautiful because it reminds me of that time. I had to unlearn that the language of my ancestors do not equate with barbarity. Yeah, and it just reminds me that before colonization, there were ubiquitous wisdom. And it was kind of humbling for me because I had to sit and then really study my own identity as an African. And that regardless of how high on the Western ladder I find myself, my ancestors were wise, and I am maybe not even smarter. So the second poem I'm going to read is titled The Last Poem by the same Ijeoma Umebinyuo. I came to you as a wildflower, as a woman who passed through different stages of her womanhood. To know not even the sweetest man deserves my silence. You're not holy water. Flawed as I am not a saint. I can remember the day I read this poem collection by Ijeoma Umebinyuo. I was pacing around the room, I was kneeling, I was crying because I felt so seen. And the moment I was done with the book, I sent the title to a friend of mine who was going through a heartbreak. I think the thing I particularly like about this poem is the defiance in the lines, the way she likened womanhood to the way she likened woman to a wild flower, meaning that a woman is capable of being a beautiful person, a person of inspiration, regardless of the harsh realities of life, regardless of the injustices that abound. And as a person, I've always rebelled against the restricted idea of the feminine. I love my African weaves. I love to speak my indigenous language. I love the color of my skin. Although a lot of people make me kind of feel bad about it. And I also believe that women should take up space, be loud if they want to be, and be unapologetic about it. Because as a feminist, sometimes when I discuss about my love life with senior women or older men, they kind of want to tell me to leave those things at the door and like enjoy my relationship. I'm like, I am a package. The person that I am now is a result of so many experiences. And even though I have like certain flaws, I am not a sin that should be condemned. The third poem that I read today is by Andrea Gibson. It is titled Royal Heart. It is a long poem, so you have to stay with me for a long time. You will never be let down by anyone more than you'll be let down by the one you love the most in the world. It is how gravity works. It is why it is called falling. It is why truth is harder to tell every year you have more to lose. But you can choose to bury your past in the garden by the tulip's water until it is so alive, it lets go, and you belong to yourself again. When you belong to yourself again, remember forgiveness is not a tidy grave. It is a ready, loyal knight kneeling before your royal heart. Call in your royal heart. Tell it bravery cannot be measured by a lack of fear. It takes guts to tremble. It takes so much tremble to love. Every first date is a fucking earthquake. Sweetheart, on our first date, I showed off all of my therapy. I flaunted the couch, where I finally sweat out my history. I pulled out the photo album from the last time I wore a light to the school dance. I smiled and said, that was never my style. Look how fixed I am. Look how there's no more dry wall on my face. Look at the tilts I've carved for my short temper. Look how my wrist is not something I have to hide. I said, well, I was hiding it. The telephone pole still down from the storm. By our third date, I'd fixed the line. I said, listen, I have a hard time. I mean, I cry as often as most people pee. I don't shut the door behind me. I'll be up in your face screaming, Seattle is too rainy. Seattle is too rainy. I'm never going to be able to live here. I sobbed. On our fourth day, I can't live here. In my body, I mean. I can't live in my body. All the time it feels too much. So if I ever feel far away, no, I am not gone. I'm just underneath my grave. Adjusting the dial on my radio feed so I can take this life with all of its love and all of its loss. See, I already know you're the place where I am finally going to sing without any static meaning. I'm never gonna wait that extra 20 minutes to text you back. I'm never gonna play hard to get when I know your life has been hard enough already. When we all know everyone's life has been hard already enough, it's hard to watch the game we make of love. Like everyone is playing checkers with their scars, saying checkmate whenever they get out without a broken heart. Just to be clear, I don't want to get out without a broken heart. I intend to live this life so shattered. There better be 1,000 separate heavens for all of my separate parts. And none of those parts are going to be wearing the romance from the overpriced vintage rack. That is to say, I'm not going to get a single speed bike if I can't make it up the hill. I know exactly how many girls I'm going to need to love you well, and none of them look hip at the coffee shop. They all have God saying, good job, you're finally not full of bullshit. You finally meet someone who's going to flatten your kneecaps into skipping stones. Baby, show me as far as I can go. I don't want to live this life without ever having come home, and I want to come home to you. I can figure out the way. This is a very interesting and emotional poem. So I think of myself as a nihilist. I do not believe that life generally has an inherent meaning. So as much as I can, I try to create meaning for myself. And one of the tangible aspects of this life that I'm living is love. And so I'm very reckless when it comes to love. I put in all my heart. I do not play games when it comes to love, even when it is convenient, even when it hurts. I love loud because I think it is one of the things that is really genuine. Some of the things that I was not taught. I felt it without having to be taught the emotions. And that is why this poem is one of my favorites. Okay, the last poem I read today is titled The Day You Died Because You Wanted to by Andrea Gibson. In something like our mothers we grew, till red was again the color of the water, and pain wasn't something any one of us would point to, because it was what was. And morning came not knowing if it would come again, and love was the only thing assumed. And love should have been enough, someone without a heart might say. The day you died because you wanted to, I tied my wisdom tooth to a doorknob and pulled it loose. Take everything I think I know. Every answer is a grave. Now the questions are rain I walk through now to find my way to God. And my only God is faith, that there's comfort here, that who is hurting might hurt less than they did before. What else are all these coins and all these wells for, if not to wish the grief asleep in the lap of someone else's grief, till grief comes, not knowing if it will come again. Your sister thought the hearse was a limousine until she asked where it was going, and then she knew for sure that's what a word like heaven will do. But heaven wasn't what you were aiming for. You didn't think the other side was better. You thought the other side would be nothing at all. Imagine choosing nothing at all. Imagine something hurting that bad. I didn't still have the ring you had given me. I'd crushed it with a rock to see how much you loved me. I love you to pieces too. It hurts me in my head now, how you knew the water wasn't deep enough to dive into. But I won't let anyone say it was a shallow thing you did. I knew it was your entire body finally pointing, saying here is where the pain is. I can crush a can with the heel of my shoe. I can drive by your mother's house if I want to, but I don't want to. She was there when you bought the ring. She knew how long you had been saving. Me, I didn't save anything. But you don't lose a person like a set of keys, because you don't find them again, and you can still get to where you're going. Resilience itself is an awful thing to grieve. Who with the heart can stomach how much we can stomach? All your blood in the water, and I could still wade through. And I will again, and I will again, and I will again with everyone I lose. So what I want most is to live the rest of my life, desperately wanting to live it. I want to give that to you. I want to find you in the nothing at all. And I want to be something. When I say I want to make something of my life, that is what I mean. This poem is one of the most personal poems that I've read or that I've listened to. I lost my brother in 2023 to suicide, and to my surprise, almost everybody around me reaction to his decision to not live again was anger. But it drew me in, it made me question how sad it is to be suicidal, how sad the environment is, how uninhabitable people have become. Unhabitable enough for somebody to decide to not want to live again. And sometimes people that commit suicide are not even Christians, they're not even religious people. There are probably people that think there is no afterlife. And so you can imagine somebody choosing to not exist again, because like there's no dream of an afterlife. If, for example, somebody that is religious decides to like kill themselves, and maybe they believe in the concept of heaven or hell, at least they are looking forward to something. Maybe the beauty of heaven, or maybe the I don't know, the pain that they'll find in hell. But like for an atheist or like for a humanist, they are just choosing to not live again. So I think this was a call for me to be kinder to the people around me and to make myself a safe space. Maybe reason enough to make myself a reason why somebody would decide to stay and enjoy the beautiful things of life, however little. Thank you very much. I think that is the end of my episode, and I am so privileged to be here. This felt so intimate, and until next time, goodbye.